Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to our panel. We'll be talking about brands and creators and the different strategies that they adopt. I'd love to get to know our panel first. I'm Aleyna. I do strategy and also author NF Times newsletter. And I've also worked with Coinbase and PepsiCo brands with Vayner3.
My name is Kouris. I'm the founder of Creator Nations. Well, actually, yesterday we had an amazing event. The reason I came here is to get to know you guys. And you guys, I'm really not interested to be on stage. I'm here to develop and build relationships. And I'm happy to learn and listen more than I talk today and during the conference. Thank you.
My name is Bracey. I'm a little bit older than my photograph would suggest. I've been in video games for about 40 years, since the very beginning of computer games, and have gradually transitioned into the blockchain world. I co-founded Terra Virtua, as it was at the time, is now Virtua, with Jawad Ashraf 5 years ago in 2017. And we've been spending 5 years building up our little portion of the metaverse.
Thank you. I'm Selin Suntay. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Polaris. It's a platform that onboards brands in transforming their loyalty and reward program through NFTs. I have an experience of 6 to 7 years, I think, in fintechs, passionate about blockchain and NFT in general. I believe this is the tool that will enhance mass adoption. So yeah.
Hi guys, my name is Pyae. So I'm head of global product marketing at Settlement. Settlement is a blockchain development platform, and the idea is to have a sort of environment where you can build any blockchain application from end to end. So yeah, really excited to share my insights and perspectives of how brands have used our platform to build cool stuff with blockchain.
Okay, so let's start with the first topic, which is some brands like Arizona Tea have used NFTs for their PR purposes. And some brands like Nike start their Web3 journey with the aim of creating a new arm for their business. Latter is seen more favorably within the community. And I'm curious what your take is on both approaches that brands take. Whoever wants to take it.
Okay, looks like it's me. Yeah, I see the brands being divided in our sort of sector into two parts. One are, as you say, using NFTs, the metaverse, etc., for marketing opportunities. Let's take a McDonald's type company who are just using it as a platform to engage with users and consumers. But more importantly, what we're involved with are brands who actually want to create a utility and engage with the people who love their product. And that's our mission, is to try and bring those fans, if you like, closer to the brand and give them an experience. And this is something the metaverse can provide or will provide. I personally see it as being the next level of video games, if you like. Video games was the first truly interactive form of entertainment, and the metaverse takes that to a much, much greater degree. It personalizes your experience and also can bring people much, much closer to the things and brands that they love.
Anybody else to add?
Yeah, I think that looking at the different strategy that has been undertaken by brands so far, when we look at it, we tend to think, okay, what are the ones that succeed? What are the ones that do not succeed? I think it's a bit a wrong way of looking at it. The reason is that you cannot apply what Nike has applied to any kind of business. It doesn't work. I mean, saying, yeah, Nike has succeeded because they have acquired artifacts. I mean, it's not a strategy per se to acquire specifically. It depends on so many things. And I know that the answer saying it depends, it's not an answer per se, but it's true in that case. I think that we need to look at each business model, what they offer, especially what communities they have, And I agree with you on that point. We also believe that starting with utilities is probably the way to gain this mass adoption that we are looking for.
I wanted to add something, because you mentioned Nike and Artifact, and they allowed all the holders to basically use the assets. So basically what I did, I got all the 3D assets, and I gave it to as much startups as I could. I gave my own assets because what we need to do right now is to engage with the other public, the people who are not here. So I just gave the 3D assets to as many startups. Some of them are here today. I gave them for free. I wasn't trying to monetize on my assets, my Clonix, right, assets. And now they're building games. They're building like creations, fashions. You know, Amit is here. He's from CryptoMoon. His amazing shoes. You know, like cool sneakers, right? So he took some of the assets, some of these startups, and they created their own world with it. You know, without any relation to Nike or Artifact. That's the same thing I do with the Doodles, for example. But the Doodles is right now like 2D a little bit. But yeah, in order to have mass adoption with brands, we need to celebrate this with the public. We need to give it even for free and let as many people create. They have a creators economy, like creators account. And just let people create 3D effects and movies and stuff with it, you know? Get it out here, you know, break the doors and let people celebrate it.
Thank you. Another approach, you know, the different two approaches brands take is one, having a small collection for their super fans and rewarding them in some way. And then the other approach is to have a large collection that's scalable to reach their broader audience. There are benefits to both because if you do, you know, a small collection for your super fans, you can create royalty programs and give options for them to participate in your own business. But if you have a large collection, then you can onboard the next million people as well. And there are the two different strategies are very different and could be good for a brand, you know, might not be good for another. So I'm curious what your take is on that, and if you have an example to share as well.
I would say like it really depends on, you know, firstly like what the organization is looking to do. So like Selin said, if we're talking about like these large organizations, you can sort of treat them as like each of these organizations have sub-departments that all act in their own different ways. So, for example, right now we're working with a very large FMCG company, and every single department of theirs have like a different, you know, breathing body with a different vision. So one of the things we're doing with them is they have this like sustainability, like loyalty program, where if you recycle one of their bottles, you get points in return, which you can then like, you know, claim those points to get gamified experiences with that said brand. Now, what they wanted to do was like gamify that with NFTs, and their main like driving factor for that is their sustainability story. So they have a net target by like 2030 to achieve this goal. The way they approached it was first in selecting a blockchain that aligned with that story. And second was to make the experience as frictionless as possible. So kind of trying to adopt what Reddit would do without slapping the NFT term on it, but then rather having it as an underlying technology. So like going back to what you said, I would say it really depends what they're looking to do. But I would say that, for example, with like Tiff & Co., right? Tiff & Co. Would be an example of a very great example of like superfans. They have the purchasing power for it. That is their brand story. Their target is not to like onboard the masses, while the rip-on like add-on experiences could lead to that, but that's not their purpose. So I would say every organization is different, but in having that like particular niche that they're all looking for, the ripple effects can like breathe into a larger market for the entire ecosystem.
Yeah. even perhaps it's good for big brands to explore the space with a smaller collection and understand the space.
Yep.
And after that, have a larger collection. We launched Pepsi's NFT. That was less than 2,000. Sold out in less than a second. But if you think about it, Pepsi has billions of users, and it's a different strategy to activate those users versus having a collection less than 2,000.
Yeah, I agree on that point. I think that it's also about taking always into account the risk aspect. So of course, when we are in talks with clients, you generally go to the CMO. The CMO is generally excited about NFT. It's a new project. They can onboard a new community, blah, blah. But I think we don't have to underestimate the brand manager, for example, that would be the one telling you, hey, you are taking the brand name for doing that. If it fails, it's on our brand. So I mean, for that, it's a combination of all these roles within the company to look at, to have conversation with, and look at if from a risk perspective, they are happy to jump on board or not.
I think they're not mutually exclusive. You can make a small collection and a large collection to engage with a larger mass audience. It depends, again, as my colleague said, what the client wants, but also what we do, what we can do for the client. I mean, everyone has different expertises and different engagements with the users. If you have created a game, for instance, that allows integration of the brand in some way, then you can have a wider spread. Whereby if you have something that's a little bit more niche, then obviously you can keep it smaller and the brand will adapt. It's all about collaboration and working closely with the brand to figure out what they want, and they need to understand what you can offer them as a company.
Thank you. What is one industry that you expect NFTs will dominate?
Sorry, what was it?
One industry that you believe NFTs will dominate?
Games. Video games, definitely. I mean, video games are going, this is where I live, this is in my DNA. Video games are going to evolve enormously. And I think that's going to have a huge impact on that particular sector. There are others as well, but that one is my own area, if you like.
I think this question is often asked in the sense that, everyone is wondering which will be, the industry. Everyone is wondering that. And I think that in that sense, we might forget a bit that NFTs are also a technology, and the technology is horizontal. So limiting at some use cases doesn't make sense. Which one will be the most successful use case? It will depend on the solution that comes on the market. If you think about traceability, yeah, definitely. I would like to use the technology for traceability because for that specific use case, I need it. So saying a particular vertical will outperform depending on another, I don't think so. I think it will mostly depend on the product that will be launched with no regards to the industry.
Yeah, and there are so many good companies that are being built. I of course games, but also Block Bar, for example, companies like that they're tangible. Like it's actually a bottle of whiskey. I had Block Bar in my events, and it's really amazing with the ownership and so many other industries like that are taking the Block Bar model and to other segments, to other real products, tangible products. And as you said, like it's all cross, and NFTs are just one technology. I'm not even using this term. Of course, we are NFT.London and NFT NYC, but I'm not using this term. It's the technology. But it all brought us together here to build Web3, which is something new and a mix of technologies and stuff. And I use that term more than NFTs, and it's exciting, and we are just getting started. So that's the best part. So everybody can be an expert, and everybody can be on the stage, and we all just learning. So right now, my best advice really for myself, for us, is just to build relationships right now. Like Don't think transactional. You meet with a brand, try to educate, try to, there are some budgets that are still, left for consulting and stuff like that. So educate, build, give more than you take right now, and in the long run, it will pay off. That's the way I manage my relationships, and I'm here to, not to speak on the stage, to meet with the people here, whether if you are speakers or not. Who cares about the name tags, right? Like, we are all here building something new and learning from each other. It's only the start.
For the metaverse strategies, metaverse has been the it word last 2 years, but we also know that both on the Web 2 side and Web 3 side, it's still developing. There aren't a lot of people on Web 3 metaverses, and Web 2 is not what we want anyways. So what is a good strategy that either creators or brands can take entering metaverse, since it's not fully here yet?
I think that's what we're all trying to figure out. It's a whole new technology, and we're just exploring the boundaries. And just going back to your previous question, it also potentially blurs the lines between sectors, whereby I mentioned video games before, but that could also find a way of interacting with more passive entertainment like movies or TV. And I believe Web3 has the ability, has the power to actually, I don't know, somehow integrate different sectors together in ways that have not been explored before. And that's what's terribly exciting. We're at the very, very beginning of this whole thing. And so it's difficult to predict how it's going to shake out. But the potential and opportunities are enormous. Sorry, just wanted to make that.
Anybody else to add?
Yeah, I think there are immediate use cases where metaverse is already showing advantages, and games is one of them. Education also. Look at COVID, all these people being stayed at home, or even without COVID, like just giving access to education through the metaverse. It's just amazing. But I don't believe that we will go immediately to a coffee to meet friends on the metaverse, personally. I still believe there are some things where people need to see themselves. So for now, I know that from a company perspective, if you look at it, many financial institutions are already thinking about, okay, let's take this branch and put it in the metaverse and see if it will work. I think it might have success in the following years, but today the problem is, for that specific case, nobody is there for that. So they can sell it, they can try to sell it there, but there is not yet enough mass on it to be able to sell it correctly. So again, this is specifically for financial institutions, but I believe that games, for example, and education will be the two main use cases where the metaverse will immediately gain traction.
How can brands do a strategy that's sustainable? And that's going to be our last question. So,
Sorry, what's the question?
how can brands build, or creators build, a strategy, a Web3 strategy for the long term? Because we see, all these NFT projects focusing on the mint date and not necessarily thinking of the 3-year, 5-year plan, but NFT projects are similar to startups, and they need, constant monetary addition into their treasury, but it's difficult to find something long-term. So do you have any suggestions for creators who might be here who are building their own entry into the space?
Yeah, I would say the focus for that, it would be on utility, because like the way the market is right now, even for like wildly successful projects like Bored Ape, CryptoPunks, and so on and so forth, the reason why people stayed is to get that sort of exclusivity, like premium feeling of like being connected to the brand, to the club. Some others for financial reasons, to make a profit in the secondary market, but everything I've seen so far has stopped at the story of secondary market, profiting on that, or just on the fact that you have a very, very expensive thing that you want to hold to flex. I haven't really seen something beyond that. So I would say anything that has to do where you have the aspect of owning the NFT is an expression for you where the utility of owning that keeps you tied to that like particular project. So one
So making
Pro-
people care. in a
yeah, like
sense.
one project that I would say is like that was really interesting was and is Damien Hirst. So Damien Hirst, I briefly told you about it last week as well. You know, so he's one of the most like renowned artists in the world, and he has so the NFTs that were launched had the option for keeping both the actual like digital asset and also the option to burn that to claim the physical item. The interesting thing was that there was a split where some people, half like more or less like half, chose to keep the actual digital asset. Some burned it to claim the physical one. I never thought that would be the sort of like behavior and psychology that the market would take, but they did so. Why? Because the perceived value for them of holding that digital asset was going to be large over the long term. That was either in terms of like exclusive experiences with Damien Hirst, access, knowledge, and understanding of his art that only holders of that asset would get. So I would say that's one of the best examples of like locking into a brand that I have seen up to date that doesn't involve flipping secondary market, making a profit, and you know the standard storyline we've seen so far. So that's what I would say. Utility.
Yeah,
Utility.
that was a great experiment, especially because in the aftermath of that, whatever was chosen, the other one would be more valuable, right? Because the supply of that would be less. And it was an experiment for himself as well.
To answer your question as well, I think if a creator's looking for a long-term sustainable business model, I think user-generated content, allowing some sort of personalization is key. This is one of the things that Web3 brings, and Nir touched upon it before, is giving people assets and letting them build something more personal, and that gives you a much more long-term engagement with the consumer, with the user, and allows them to get something out of it more personally rather than just transactionally.
Yeah, and that's where the IPs come in, and Doodles has a plan. I don't know if it's like fully official, but I've heard of this, where they want to enable Doodle owners to create derivative other dudes using their own, thus being able to get creator royalties from that and having even a passive income of the project while making the project bigger. So
Yes, thank you for mentioning Doodles. Every conference I speak about, I have to mention Doodles, so you mentioned it. I'm very, very happy to be a part of this family from the beginning. I love the founders. I love the vision. I even have it on my watch here, on that shirt. I have a modest Doodle. Yeah, Doodle has a lot of potential because from the start, it started as a media and entertainment company. They weren't into just another NFT project. They built a media and entertainment company. I remember from the first Zoom call that I had with the team, I was speaking about where do they want to take that brand, and I saw amazing vision and implementation. So definitely, I'm very, very happy that you just mentioned Doodles. And let's see what they do at Art Basel this year. It's going to be amazing activations, as always. Like, there's so much potential. If you guys don't follow, please follow these founders. It's amazing.
thank you so much to all our panelists, and thank you all for being here. We're going to have a next one starting soon. Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.